better than in game 3 with Jimmy Butler on the sideline. They just, they don't have the firepower, and it's pretty obvious. And, under certain circumstances, they have enough. And I know they're on the road, and it's a big ask for a young team, but they need, if they're going to win the series, they got to win that game. They just got to. And now they're playing from behind, and, Jimmy's going to get better by the day. So.
Well, and that was just, talk about Herculean efforts. Steph Curry does not usually play 41 minutes for a lot of reasons. Obviously, he plays an incredibly taxing style. He's not that big. They try to maximize the time he's out there so he could be flying around. For him to play 41 minutes against this Rockets defense with Amen Thompson and Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks and all these really good physical defenders throwing themselves at him for the entire time he's on the court, to have 36-9, only 2 turnovers. Steph can be a little turnover prone. He had a couple early in the game, didn't have any more after that. He's flying around, hitting one bomb after another from 3. It was just awesome to watch. And like you said, for a young Rockets team that's going through it for the first time, this is like true baptism by fire for a lot of these young guys, seeing what it takes to get to the mountaintop right away. And that was just a vintage all-time Steph performance, and the Rockets have probably seen more vintage all-time Steph performances than any other franchise, probably times 3 at this point. So
yeah, just a lot of these guys were, prepubescent when some of the other ones happened at the Rockets.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Steph has a ton of playoff games where he scored more points than this, but this was a throwback game to like the early 2000s, where when you score 30, it's one thing to score 35 and your team scores 125. You score 35 and your team scores 100. The leverage on the points is greater. Mm-hmm. So that's why, and Steph,
every point is earned in the series.
Right. And typically you see, I think Steph was like 10 of 25, which doesn't feel like a hot game.
He was 12 for 23 and 5 for 13 from
12 for 23. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, 5 for 13 from 3 doesn't feel like a great Steph shooting game, but then you see the way the game was played and you understand, that the value of each of those goes up.
Well, and look, we all thought the Rockets were a consistent offensive engine away from being a real contender. And that's pretty much the way this series has played out for them. Jalen Green's had one amazing game. They've won 1 game. He's had 2 poor games other than that. And we'll see, if the Rockets can make this a series. But, if not, we'll see how they react this summer when they have options.
They'll have a lot of options.
They'll have options. Whether they act on those options remains to be seen.
Maybe they'll have Cooper Flag.
It's possible. Thanks,
true.
Phoenix.
All right. So, Knicks, Pistons, brutal weekend for the
Pistons. They're not Pistons today. They're pissed offs.
Yeah. Brutal weekend for the Pistons fans. The Knicks are up 3-1. So, obviously, let's start with the fact that the end of the game, it's a 3-point. It's a 1-point game.
1 point game.
1 point game.
1 point game.
30 seconds. Regardless of whatever, we're obviously going to talk about this foul. It was a bad missed call. David Guthrie staring right at it. He's got to make the call. That being said, if Detroit goes on to lose this series, Cade Cunningham, who's played great, has had an awesome year, he's going to think all summer about those 2 shots. Got right to his spot on both of them. First one just rims out somehow, spun out. Second one just missed. And either one of those goes in, Detroit very well wins this game, and it's 2-2, and they got a ton of life in the series. But obviously, goes without saying, you'd also like to see this call at the end be properly made.
I know that there's nothing you can say to a Pistons player or fan that is going to change the way they feel about that.
Or JB Bickerstaff. He appeared to be pretty heated.
Well, Bickerstaff came running down to the...
He almost ran over Darren Erman walking out of the court. He was like, whoa, I got to get out of the way.
Well, it's funny. Like, JB was hunting for, David Guthrie, and Tibbs is like getting off the court. He's like, I'm going to get out of here. I do think it matters that the officials took accountability and said, I got the call wrong.
Tough weekend for David Guthrie. Messing up this 8-second call on Friday. The end of his crew doing the end of the Celtics game the other day, also a complete mess, I have to say. He has this bizarre 8-second call. He gets wiped out. The Celtics then get this rebound with, it looked like close to a full second on the clock. Never gets looked at. Not sure why. That gets reviewed all the time for timing reasons. For some reason, it didn't. Now, Celtics didn't deserve to win that game either, just like I think the Pistons blew this game with a few other things down the stretch. But it's not a great couple of closing stretches there.
By the way, real quick on the Celtics Magic 3-1 going back to Boston. Jason Tatum misses game 2 with the bone bruise in his wrist, comes back with 36 and 37. I know they lost on Friday, but still, Tatum, huge weekend. The Celtics are a little banged up right now. Tatum's got the wrist. Jaylen Brown's still coming back from the knee. Drew Holiday's missed a couple games with a sore hamstring.
Chris says Porzingis tweaked his leg tonight too. They gotta close the series out on Tuesday.
And Porzingis has the removal stitches.
Yes, he got hit in the head too. But they got to close the series out in Game 5 and get this thing over with and get a few days off before they face either the Knicks or the Pistons in the second round.
But from the Knicks' perspective, Karl Towns makes 2 tremendous plays down the stretch. He makes a...
He draped on him. Oh, it was only an 8-footer. You're right. I just looked it up. But that shot, that turnaround jumper on the baseline, it was an unbelievable shot.
So that brings
dropped
him
it
to,
in.
That
brings him on the baseline. You mean on the baseline?
It was right at the end of the shot. He had to heave it up because he got caught with it in the corner, and he just had to turn around and make this crazy looking shot.
So he makes that. Then the Knicks get a stop. Then he drills a deep 3 to put the last basket of the game to put the Knicks ahead. I mean, this is, Towns has playoff games where he's hit big shots like this. This is not like his arrival. But it was his first big moment in the playoffs in a Knicks uniform.
He also had another big 3 with just under 3 minutes to go, too. And he was there. I mean, Jaylen obviously went out. It looked like Jaylen might have messed his leg up for a minute. But Karl was the one consistent presence they had throughout the game. And then they got down to the end, and it was the Jaylen show as usual. And Karl stepped up and hit 3 massive shots.
Yeah, Jaylen had a huge fourth quarter, but Cat was the one who hit the biggest shots at the end.
So that's the other thing coming out of this game. Jaylen gets rolled on. And so it was his right ankle. It was his left ankle, I'm fairly certain, that he sprained that cost him about a month, most of March and part of April.
I don't believe.
Was his right ankle?
I'll double check that.
Okay.
No, it was same. It was his right ankle. Same one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so he gets rolled up on that ankle, and everything. It had all the makings of a high ankle sprain. Which, by the way, going back to it, in that Wolves Lakers game, LeBron was diving for a loose ball, and he landed on Ant Edwards' ankle, which had all the makings of a look of a high ankle sprain.
It looked a lot like the Solomon Hill LeBron play from back in the day, and Ant LeBron are probably the 2 most like indestructible people we've seen in a long time. And it looked like Ant's leg was dead, and then he just popped up. I was like, okay,
no, but LeBron missed the rest of the season pretty much from that. He never recovered from that.
Well, that was like the first. I mean, I guess it wasn't the first one. The knee was before that, but
no,
one of the first real injury absences.
The groin that he had his first year in LA. But forget about that. The point is, Ant has.
What's your favorite team? Comment below, and if you like the video, please leave a like. This really helps the channel grow and brings you even more content. Oh, and if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button and activate the bell to receive all notifications. With each game, we notice that the NBA is getting more competitive every day, and all the teams are looking for reinforcements to win the championship. And only here can you follow your favorite team daily with incredible content from different sources. Here on the channel, there are new videos every day with analysis, curiosities, and the best moments in basketball. That's it for today, folks. Thanks for following along. The NBA doesn't stop, and neither do we. Until the next video. NBA, the passion that connects us.